Rosemary's Baby, 1968 psychological horror film directed by Roman Polanski, starring Mia Farrow and John Cassavetes. The film that really put Polanski on the map in Hollywood, cemented him as a huge director name capable of making Hollywood movies in English, which of course was not his native tongue. Now, this is the first time I ever saw it, and despite the fact that it's 50 years old now, it does hold up surprisingly well. So the story is of a young couple, Rosemary and Guy Woodhouse. She's more or less a housewife. He's a struggling actor playing in commercials. Together they move into an apartment in New York. The building they live in has this sort of ominous reputation with urban legends of witchcraft and demonic occurrences happening in and around it in the past. Soon after moving in, the couple meet their next door neighbors, the Castevets, this older couple, very jovial, very friendly and outgoing, while Rosemary herself remains hesitant about them. Guy seems to befriend the two immediately. We then learn that Rosemary and Guy are trying to conceive a child, and eventually she does get pregnant. And right around then, weird things start to happen. The neighbors tend to be in their lives more and more. They convince her to leave her current doctor and move over to a different one that they recommend for the entire duration of the pregnancy. Minnie Castevet, that's the old lady, feeds Rosemary these supposedly healthy vitamin cocktails each and every day. But the young woman doesn't seem to be beaming with the pregnancy. Quite the contrary, she looks more and more sickly and thin. She also keeps having these really weird, ominous dreams, and then the paranoia begins to really kick in, both for Rosemary and for us as the audience. Are the neighbors really that nice, or is there something more sinister going on behind the scenes? Is the husband in league with them or not? What about the witchcraft elements and the weird coincidences and occurrences? Is it all happening really, or maybe just in Rosemary's head? That's the thing that the movie does extraordinarily well, building up that sense of dread and paranoia and fear through keeping us not entirely sure for most of the movie as to what is real and what isn't. And part of the reason that it works so well is that Rosemary herself is repeatedly shown to be a rather perceptive, intelligent woman. She notices things, details that make her wonder. And because she does so, she's not just this passive victim in the film, a victim to the events. We see her actually figuring things out on her own, and that makes it more difficult for us to decide, is she right or is she imagining things? Another great help in building all of that is the dream sequences. They're by far my favorite element of the film. Polanski creates these nightmarish visions with the use of clever editing and sort of dreamy visuals, and most importantly, the use of sound and music, or lack thereof. Great stuff. The movie also enhances the paranoia further by constantly isolating Rosemary, whether it is physical isolation in the building and the rooms of the apartment, or kind of emotional isolation on the streets of New York with nobody to talk to or consult. Nobody except, of course, for the Castevets and their friends, who are all these insanely creepy, weird old people, always with the predatory looks towards Rosemary, always hanging out somewhere in the background of the shots, acting like the buffer between her and the rest of the world, never allowing her fully out. I want to highlight the performance of Ruth Gordon, who plays Minnie Castevet. She's just fantastic as one of the main villains, let's say, because of the way she plays the role, with a flair, with confidence, and this really New Yorkish attitude and style of speaking. She's really entertaining, and because of that, it's more difficult to gauge her true intentions throughout the film. She's not just this black and white creepy old lady who we immediately suspect of being sinister. She actually adds a lot of depth and uncertainty to the character. I can really see why the movie is considered a cinema classic nowadays. I can distinctly see its influences on other films. Stuff like The Devil's Advocate or Hereditary definitely come to mind, and I'm sure that the list of spiritual descendants goes on and on. What matters though is that despite the years, Rosemary's Baby remains an effective and entertaining psychological horror. I won't exactly say it's pleasant to watch, but it is a damn good film.